First of all, welcome. There are two more Lekutei over there available. Two more. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll start tonight to learn Lekutei Moharan al Seder. Now, there are certain principles that we mentioned once when we started to learn Sipurei Maisius, which we will, B'ezrat Hashem, go over here just to refresh a little bit the concepts. We're not going to touch on too many Kabbalah concepts, primarily because I don't have a clue about Kabbalah, so I have some trouble in giving away the material. That said, we will touch again what we mentioned about the spheres, the 10 spheres, when we started learning Sipurei Maisius, because it's important that we understand the basic things, and when you repeat them, they sort of they settle down and you understand what they're about. It has to do specifically with Torah Aleph, and already talks about the Chochmah and the Malchus, and we need a little, of very basic ground level understanding of what these definitions are, how, and more than anything else, how they actually pertain to our day-to-day lives. And, the tachlis of the learning of Lekutei Moharan. Lekutei Moharan is a very different sefer than all the other Sfarim. In a sense, Lekutei Moharan in a certain way has no pshat. There's no pshat to Lekutei Moharan. You learn Lekutei Moharan in various stages of your life, and each time you learn something completely different. The major difference between Lekutei Moharan and all the other limudim in Yiddishkeit is that every other limud, be it the Zohar Kodesh or the Tanya or the Gemara or anything else, they show you something. This particular inyan is so and so. It starts over here, up to here, goes down to here, up to here. So, this is what it is. It can be the Kitvei Arizah, it can be the Tanya, it can be the Zohar, it can be anything else. They're showing you things, saying, this is what it is. Obviously, there's endless depth to the things that you're shown. And you can learn any sefer. On, a child and an old man, they learn Chumash, but at a totally different level. The biggest tzaddik and the youngest child, they learn the same text. So obviously, there are different things to see. But basically, the different ways of learning are in the depth of the things that you are shown. Lekutei Moharan doesn't show you anything. Lekutei Moharan gives you different sets of eyes. Every limud. When you look at the inyan of, let's say, of a novel, sometimes you learn a novel from perspective of Shabbos, sometimes you learn a novel from the perspective of Yira, sometimes each time you're seeing it from a different point of view, and basically what you're getting with Lekutei Moharan is a few hundred different sets of perspectives, of eyes, to look at everything differently. Nachas HaShulchan wrote how Shabbos is mentioned and viewed from all the Torahs in Lekutei Moharan. How every time the Grundman talks about Shabbos, Once you look from here, once you look from here, once you look from here, completely different. But tachlis, the main idea, besides the union of that the knowledge itself is hatzlacha. When you learn any Torah, any word of Torah anywhere, it's Gemara, whatever it is, the yediyah atzma is hatzlacha nitzvus. It's an eternal hatzlacha. So besides that, the teachings of Lekutei Moharan, besides all that depth, are the main tachlis of it is to bring you to be able to be mekayim, to divrei Torah, the words of the Torah, and to forge a set of relationship with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and deal with the various things that basically you meet in your life endless situations and endless bits and pieces that you have to deal with, and sometimes you can have it, let's say, relatively easy, let's say, to deal with temptations that have to do with women, okay? On the other hand, you have tremendous problem with gaiva. Right? Another person is exactly the opposite. Gaiva doesn't really bother, it bothers everybody, but when I say, it's not really the most cardinal problem in his life. However, when it comes to women, it's a balagan. The thing is that you create. The Rebbe creates mechanisms how you can fix the problem with women going through the portal of Gaiva, and another Torah tells you how you can fix the portal of Gaiva coming through the portal of women. So wherever it is that you're coming through, you have a way to do it. Moreover, you will find here in Lekutei Moharan mechanisms to do things and accomplish things that did not exist before the Torah was said. I think that maybe next time we should learn upstairs when it's a bit quieter. Not because of us, because we can hear it, but if we want it for posterity, for other people to hear, it might be, the background noises might be disruptive. As we'll go along, you'll see, Bezrat Hashem, what it is that we mean. We will have to strike a certain balance between the theoretical learning of Lekutei Moharan. What is he saying? What does it mean? And a certain amount of drush, exponentiation of the material, the way it is nogea lemaise to avoid this Hashem, that I was able to either be mekabel from wherever it is, or so around me, or whatever it is, so we can serve the Kodesh Baruch Hu with these limudim. Before Torah Aleph Lekutei Moharan, there is a very small Torah that the Rebbe told Reb Nosson when on the trip to Uman. When the Rebbe left Breslov and he traveled to Uman to pass away. And along the way there were a few things that he told Reb Nosson that Reb Nosson wrote down. Amongst them was what they called the Megillah Storim. It was a text which is completely encrypted and concealed regarding what will be the history of the world until Mashiach will come. One of the things that we know that was there was the Gilui of the Tcheles. The Tcheles would be misgalas and important history. In fact, when the Radziner first discovered the Tchelis, and there was a whole argument if it is or if it isn't. Rabbi Avraham Reb Nachman said that he recognized, he knew that the Tchelis is for real, because he was the one of the people that got the Megillah Storim, and he knew what's going to come. Another interesting thing that he said, I don't know if it's a Megillah Storim or not, that came down through the ages, is that he said that before Mashiach will come, there will be wagons flying in the air. Transportation, air transportation. That's one of the things that he said. So I think it's pretty accurate. The first nekuda that we are going to touch over here is this particular dvater that he said on the way to Uman, and the way, at least that I learned it, is that the reason why it is there is because before you start the Torah of Lekutei Moharan, it puts down one of the most complex, controversial in a certain way, difficult to absorb, difficult to wrap your head around concept in Yiddishkeit, and that's the tzaddik. What does he do? What's this? What's it doing here? I get along with Kadosh Baruch Hu, fine, no problem. Torah, no problem. Am Yisrael, no problem. I can parrot a lot of different things, saying that, no problem. The minute you come to the tzaddik, whoa, wait, time out. How do I deal with that? There's a reason for that, for those difficulties. And the basis of the Lekutei Moharan is the Nekudas HaTzadik. We'll talk about that.
I have a question on that. One of the things about the Nekudas HaTzadik that I see is that to be misvadeh to Tzadik, so he can show you where your tikkun is.
It was Torah Dalet. We'll get there.
Right. But I heard that the Reb Nachman later on was yored from that because of the issues of the hashpah that was going to have on Jews who were confusing that practice with what the Christians.
What you said that he didn't do, what he did in the beginning and what he did later is true. Mm-hmm. He never gave this kind of reason, that the reasoning is not true.
But he was yored from the idea. He was
yored because that was not what the reason that he gave for not doing this anymore. Uh-huh. He says that those that come to him don't need to do it. Those that don't, on Rosh Hashanah, those that come to him don't need to do it, and those that don't come, it won't help them. That's the reason that he gave. It wasn't because of.
That's where I appreciate the clarification, but it's
in Sichas Aharon. It's mentioned. He says like this: Reb Shimon bar Yochai Yivtiach shelo tishtakach Torah Misrael. We have like 25 minutes. We'll try to run through this a little bit. Reb Shimon bar Yochai Yivtiach shelo tishtakach Torah Misrael al yado. Reb Shimon bar Yochai made a promise that the Torah will not be forgotten. Will not be forgotten by Am Yisrael through him. He's going to be instrumental in making sure that the Torah will never be forgotten. כמובן בדברי רבותינו זיכרונם לברכה, אלה תיסד מסכת שבס, כשנכנסו רבותינו לכרם ביבנה, when Rabbeinu came to the vineyard of Yavne, that was the Besmedrish after Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was led out of Yerushalayim with Yavne v'Chachamer, and the center moved from Yerushalayim, it moved to Yavne, and they sat there in rows like a keren. So that's why it's called the keren b'Yavne. And you have to understand the historic context of the time. Yiddishkeit basically, Am Yisrael, the existence of Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael laid in ruins, in smoldering ruins, literally. Beis HaMikdash was burnt. I mean, millions of people were slaughtered. And, just a small group of Chachomim went to Yavne, and this is the Mechadish the Torah, and this is the measure of the times. So Rabboteinu, when they came into the Kem Yavne, they said, they looked down on the future and they said, Asidu Torah shetishtokach miYisrael. The future holds such a time when the Jewish people will forget the Torah. And Lemaise, the Gemara then are talking specifically that a woman will go around with a loaf of bread, and whether it is Tome or Torah, and the Gemara goes into the various things, what's the sfeikas, and nobody will be able to tell her. She won't be able to find out whether this loaf, to ascertain whether this loaf is kosher, is Torah or Tome. But Lemaise, they're talking about besides the Mamoshes Dugma, besides the example that they give, they're talking about a state of desolation, of spiritual desolation. The Torah will be forgotten. It's very important to understand that Dafka Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is the one that came out of Yerushalayim, and the Roman king told him, where were you until now? Because he said, he greeted him and said, Shalom alach Malka, Shalom alach Malka. Hello to you. He hailed the king. And he said, you're chayav misa because of two reasons. First of all, I'm not a melech. In Rome, if you call somebody a king and he's not the king, you're chayav misa. In Rome, they had no problem putting people to death for various real or imagined infractions. And secondly, if in Malkan, if indeed I am a king, how come you didn't come until now? And the Mahalach is, I heard it from Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter, he explains the Mahalach is that we have the world and we have Torah. Okay? We have a Metzias and we have the testimony to the Metzias. The difference between us and tzaddikim is that for us, the world, as we see it, is reality. And the Torah is the edus, is the testimony to the Metzias. But the tzaddikim is the opposite. The Torah is the Metzias, the world is the testimony for it. So the Roman ruler said, I'm not a king. And the guy said, I have a pasuk. What do you mean you're not a king? I have a pasuk, Va'levanon ba'odir yipol, and the Levanon is going to succumb to who? To somebody who qualifies under the title of Adir. What is Adir? Melech. And since I know you're going to conquer Jerusalem, hence you're a Melech. You claim you're not a Melech, so you don't know. That's it. Ventaki, a messenger came and says, Caesar died, you're king. Okay. And the second question, why I didn't come is because I had a sikirikim, that spit on girls in Ramat Bet. He didn't let me come. Asida Torah shetishtokach miYisrael means that we will take the world as the Metzias and the Torah as the Eidos. You already forgot the Torah. And it gets worse. It comes to a situation where we live that Torah it's our thing. It's no longer an Eidos for the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu becomes almost a non-factor. He has his place there, everything is about him and whatever it is, but he's really not involved. Definitely not with me. My thing is Torah. To the point that Chazal themselves ask, if I learned the entire Torah, so he says, he answers him, just a second, if I learned the entire Torah, I don't know that it says obviously that's not the question. It's not that, listen, I finished learning Torah, I know the entire Torah, okay, can I go learn Chochmah Yevana? That's not the question. Because if I learn the whole thing, I know it says Vagisa B'Yomam V'Layla. But the question is I heard from Tzvi Cheshmi, he says, the question is, in Torah there are also levels. You're a rabbi. Paskin halachas. You're a Talmid Chacham. The various levels there. Medicine is also endless. But you become a doctor. You learn certain things, you test, you become a doctor. If I receive a certain shleimus in limud Torah, if I achieved a certain proficiency, can I learn from this that the Torah is also a kind of Chochmah Yevanas? Each one is his own thing. He's a doctor, he's a rabbi, he's a violinist, he's a builder, each one with his own. It's possible when you forget the Torah, when the spiritual existence, the spiritual reality of the world gets dimmed and darkened, that the Torah becomes also, I'm a rabbi, And if you're a little bit, you're not exactly sure, and you live in, a rabbi doctor, so you should know that I'm really important. It's like it becomes, that's my inyan. It's no longer an extension of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Chazal, we're talking about that. Says no. There will never be a situation that the Torah cannot be reclaimed, that the Torah becomes inaccessible. There definitely will be a situation where accessibility will be a question, it'll be a problem, it'll be a great challenge, yes. But there will never be such a situation where Torah will be basically acted upon like en rote, it's like that, that's what we do, okay, and that's it, and there'll be no way to access a Kodesh Baruch Hu, to access real Torah. There will be no such thing. And he brings the pasuk. Chazal also brought a pasuk, and the pasuk that they brought, and the interesting thing is that the two psukim, the two rayas of both of them, come in the same nevuah, right one next to the other. Akun Chazal said, for it says, V'anochi aster panai bayom ha'u. I will conceal or put into concealment or double conceal my face at that time. What does it mean, double conceal? The Baal HaTanya explains that what's the difference between soid, a secret, and a secret. Soid is soidus. What's the difference between them? He says a soid is that there's something that you don't know. I mean, you know that there's something that you don't know. Soid is a story is that you don't even know that there's something that you don't know. The fact that there's a secret is also a secret for me. The Rebbe says in Torah Nun Vav, when Kodesh Baruch Hu is nister with one concealment, it's very difficult to find him. But the very fact alone that Kodesh Baruch Hu is concealed is also concealed from you. There's no way that you can get there. You don't even know that there's something you don't know. That's why when Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Vanochi aster panai bayom ha'u," I will conceal. I will, in double wrap. Keviochel, the defense of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, Chazal said, Asida Torah Tishtogach Misra. They won't even know that it's something they don't know. And Reb Shimon says, yeah, but in that particular word there's something else that is written. V'anta Shira Ki lo sishokach mipi zaro, for it shall not be forgotten from the mouth of his offspring. It says before, the Torah will not be forgotten. So obviously comes the big question. They both have psukim, right? This one has a pasuk, the Torah will be forgotten. This one has a pasuk, they will remember. So the question is what each one does with the pasuk of the other. You have to explain it, right? Chazal have to explain how come they say the Torah is going to be forgotten even though it says Ki lo sishokach mipi zaro. And on the other hand, how does Reb Shimon explains that pasuk says v'anochi anochi aster aster? How do you handle that? It says that.
One's al yada and the other one's Tizaro.
Well, anochi aster aster, and the other one he says, Pinchas he says, and he says kevah b'sefer hazohar, b'hai chibur adi sefer hazohar. In the Zohar itself, in Parshas Naso, it says. B'hai chibur, with this chibur, which is Sefer HaZohar, Ifkun bei migaluse, Am Yisrael will come out of the Golus, and it says there, berachamei, with rachmonas. In other words, nice. The Rebbe reveals like this, V'ata bo re'eh ve'aven, come and see, nifloes nistoros shel Torasinu HaKadoshah, the hidden wonders of our Heilige Torah. That's the reason why Reb Shimon relied on that particular pasuk. For it will not be forgotten from the mouth of his offspring. The truth is, when you look deeply into this pasuk, in this very verse, that secret which he's going to reveal to you now is hidden and alluded to and hinted to. Is hidden, is coded into this. Through the offspring of Yochai, who is the father of Reb Shimon, right? Through his offspring, Shehu Reb Shimon bar Yochai, who is the offspring of Yochai, Reb Shimon. Through him, he is going to be instrumental. He's going to be the fulcrum around which the whole thing turns. And check this out. You take the letter, the last letter of every word of this pasuk. Ki lo sishokach mipi zaro. It constitutes the letters together, put the word Yochai. And this is what this pasuk reveals and alludes to. Ki lo sishokach mipi zaro, for it will not be forgotten from the mouth of his offspring. Mipi zaro idaiko, the offspring. It's precision. It says it will not be forgotten, which is the Torah, will not be forgotten from the mouth of one specific offspring, one specific child. Who is that? The offspring of that person himself, who is alluded to in this pasuk. In other words, I'm going to allude to a certain person, and the pshat of the pasuk of Yochel is going to allude to the child of that, to the offspring of that person. The person that we are alluding to in the last letter of every word is Yochai. The pasuk says the Torah will not be forgotten through the offspring of that person who is alluded to in the last letter of every word in this pasuk. Is Yochai. Shuatana Yochai. Through the offspring of Yochai, that is hinted to, alluded to, with the last letters of every word here. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. That's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Al yado od tistokach haTorah miYisrael ki bezohar da yifku megalota. Through him, through the Sefer HaZohar, Am Yisrael is going to come out of Galus. The second part is something else. Besides we get to the second part, I'd like to touch this a little bit. You know, I don't know if we probably won't be able to finish because in 10 minutes is Ma'ariv. So B'ezras Hashem will continue next week. There are quite a few inyonim that are nagir here. The first is Chazal said, "Vanochi aster astir." They basically claim that there's going to be a situation where it will be impossible to remember the Torah. Astor shabech astor makes it impossible. If you know that something you don't know, there's a chance that you'll find out. If you don't know that something you don't know, there's no way you're going to find it out. Impossible. How can Reb Shimon undo this? Either you know or you don't know. If you don't know that you don't know, it's finished. What needs to be created here is a mechanism that works inside Hastorah Shebetoch Hastorah. It will get you out of one Hastorah and then get you out of the second one. That's the way that you'll know the Torah. It's a metzias that has to enter, has to alter the state of being that will make it possible to know something which logically is unknowable. Hastorah b'shach Hastorah, you cannot know. The Zohar itself was double wrapped like that. First of all, it got lost for 1,000 years. Reb Shimshon Pinchas Zichron Livrocha says the reason for it is if the Rambam learned Zohar, he would have exploded. You know, it's like the Zohar is like these little irons that they use in the hospitals for cardiac shock kind of thing. So you do it to a live person, you're going to kill him. You know, but you use it in somebody who was, is practically a cadaver, so you put it, it'll bring him to life. So this is the Zohar is such shock. If you gave it to Rashi, you gave it to even though Rashi there's all kinds of reasoning to think that he did know. When he says, Yitzchak, he says, Reach bni kireach hasodeh. He talks about when Yaakov comes and he's dressed in the skins, the sheep skins. He says, Reach bni kireach hasodeh. See that the smell of my son is like the smell of the field. Rashi says, Zeus de tapuchim. This is the field of apples. Okay, we know this. Field of apples is a deep Kabbalistic terminology that regards to the Malchus. So Rashi, lets something slip. But nevertheless, the Zohar itself only came out. The people started around the 15th century, 16th century, when Reb Moshe de Leon found, it's a question how he found it, whatever it is. But even then, when you open up the Zohar and you learn Zohar, the Zohar is beautiful. It's poetic. It's probably the most beautiful medrash that there is. But you can learn Kabbalah from it. It's only when Arizal came and gave you the tools, then you can go back to the Zohar. So it's like, wow, the whole thing is Kabbalah from beginning to end. Inside the Idris where the Kabbalah is exposed, inside the other parts. the Zohar itself was double wrapped, a story of the story. The first story that it got lost, and second one that Arizal had to unwrap it again. The Torah itself is mirames about Reb Shimon Bar Yochai with a remez de remez. The pasuk itself is a riddle that alludes to another remez, which is the Sofer Tevis. Remez de remez, to be mirames you that this is something, this here is something that alludes to a mechanism it has to take apart, be the antidote of a storah b'toch a storah. Because what is a remez? What is a hint? Something that helps you find out what a secret is. You don't know what it is, right? I'm giving you a hint, which helps you find the remez. A remez de remez is to find a storah sheb'toch a storah. That's nice. Technically it's nice, it's fascinating, it's beautiful, but it still doesn't answer the basic question of Chazal have a pasuk, Reb Shimon has a pasuk. How come Chazal said the Torah is going to be forgotten when you have Kilos Yishachar Pizaloi right next to it in the same nevuah, and vice versa? And this is basically the introduction to the tzaddik. Chazal, B'ezrat Hashem will talk a little bit more about this next time, and B'ezrat Hashem will learn Torah Aleph. But Chazal basically talk about a normal metzias. You live your life. You're born, you go to yeshiva, with this, you come to shul, you daven, you get married, you have children. Under those circumstances, I see that Torah is nishtokach mitzvah. Reb Shimon puts a different element into this himself. Ki lo sishokach mepi zaroi shel zeh, shel Yochai, the offspring of Yochai. The Torah is being very specific. It's not just that I have a raya that the Torah will not be forgotten. The raya includes already the person who is imperative, who is central, who is the fulcrum, who is the post through around which everything turns, that will make this possible. We have Moshe Rabbeinu, of course, who is, Avshar Kol Neviim. Everything comes from him. But then all of a sudden you have Reb Shimon Bar Yochai who's unique. Who is unique. There is no other person in which Klal Yisrael goes to his Tzion on his Yortzeit every year until today. Whether they know what they're going or they don't know what they're going. Except for now, it happens in Newman. It happens all over again. There's a central theme. Something else is introduced here. The tzaddik. What we will learn, B'ezrat Hashem, next week is a little bit more into this mechanism of the tzaddik is doing. How is he doing this? What is going on here? What has changed? Why? Is it just the tzaddik that you claim? Okay, I have a tzaddik and I believe him, and therefore, nekuda. But there's some deeper explanations, which again are not necessary to emunas tzaddikim, but nevertheless is part of the limud over here, which B'ezrat Hashem will go into next week. Question.
Isn't tzaddik actually connected to Moshe? The tzaddik hador is called Moshe, according to
Yes.
So it's not a steer in that.
No, that's enough. V'day. No, Vadai.
Kamas HaMishkan is through the Tzaddik, Kamas HaMishkan is through Moshe.
100%. But we will touch, technically, what difference does it make? How does the fact that there's tzaddik over there all of a sudden renders an impossibility, which is a story of Hastorah, accessible? Because it has to be.
That's also why Moshe Rabbeinu, we don't know where the
Right.
He said everybody would go.
You're touching on